Hello, welcome to R&R, where bad media from the past needs a beating. You know, OVAs, anime OVAs. You either like them or you hate them. Even if they make an anime original video animation or OVA off of a video game franchise that's successful, they'll continue doing it, and if they've done one that's failed, they'll just stop and not be into those things. Instead, go to horrible spin-offs like you see with the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. And speaking of Final Fantasy, which happens to be among one of my favorites, there was one anime OVA that came out roughly during the golden age of RPGs, called Final Fantasy Legend of the Crystals. Now, to be fair, this anime came out at a time when it was very new to the West. And there were a lot of horrible English dubs out, mostly of which of those of other anime that bombed in Japan. Like these examples.
You sure look good for someone preparing for an exam.
You certainly got sexy.
Hey, Benton. Don't crap your pants if you see a vampire out there.
Get lost. You wouldn't recognize a goddamn vampire if one jumped up and bit you on the end of your fucking dick.
You're just gonna leave me?
Are you deaf? Train leaves at 7. Negate going.
But why are you being so kind?
Go before I throw you down on the ground and rape you!
Now, Legend of the Crystals, on the other hand, came out into the West 4 years after it was released in Japan. Now, at the time of the VHS release, people had no idea if it was based on an original story or not. Well, it's actually based on the world of Final Fantasy V, which did not come until the US until a year later under the release of Final Fantasy anthologies. Now, 5, unlike the other titles, had a very inferior story compared to by Final Fantasy standards. So you may be asking, how is a 4-episode OVA going to work on something like this? You thinking that it would only work on more popular titles in this series. Well, there was only one time that happened with Final Fantasy VII: The Last Order, and what it did was basically retell the entire prologue that has been told in almost every single spin-off installment imaginable in the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. So, making an OVA on that installment, not gonna cut it. So the story begins 200 years after the end of Final Fantasy V. So all the characters you see in the game are long gone. And we open up to some cloaked old man staring at what looks like a makeshift compass from that Alec Baldwin movie, The Edge.
And now, behold, the most fearsome of storms is upon us.
Why?
Tell me, Blue Mage, what does it mean?
Oh, and this is Queen Lena Tycoon, a likely descendant from one of the old characters. Yeah, I think it's supposed to reference the mistranslation of the fan-translated version. And she's apparently borrowing the same style from Queen Amidala. Oh, and God, I haven't even mentioned the voice acting and the music.
Me, the descendant of the valiant bats who met and destroyed Exides, Lord of Nothingness?
Hey! Where are you going in this weather? That does it! I'm coming with you! What's the matter with you? Are you deaf? Come back here right now!
God! Shut up! Look at this. Do you even call this voice acting? It's like a stand-up comedian who's high on drugs and drunk interpreting a voice actor. If you were to hire someone like that, this is what you would get. So it looks like the old man from the beginning actually has a granddaughter who bears the wind crystal. And please excuse me, we're going to be talking about the wind crystal a lot because the whole plot of this OVA centers around it. She, who obviously is wearing a extremely short kimono with no pants, and decides to help out her grandfather by traveling along the world's most narrowest river. I mean, just look at that. It's like one of those lazy river systems you would see at your local water park. And then we have our protagonist who is annoying as hell and will not stop throwing bad puns and jokes.
Oh, and you can stop pretending you're asleep.
But it's not long until Miss No Pants here comes across a monster in one of the ruins, and so she uses the power of the wind crystal to,
Couldn't you have summoned something a little bit more intimidating?
a bald chocobo, who looks absolutely nothing like in the game. What kind of a big insult is this? It's almost like they're trying to piss us off on purpose. So they're saved by that same guy who is following them earlier. Bad Pundit, who decides to accompany Miss No Pants on her journey when her grandfather is injured and can no longer journey with them. Who then try to continue searching for the Crystal of the Wind. Hold on. What's with the backwards talk? Seriously, I've already had to deal with one annoying creature that talked backwards like that. And what the hell? What the hell are you doing here? Cathead, I thought I killed you! Piss off! Anyway, let's get back to this. But it turns out they're not the only ones looking for it, as a band of skanky sky pirates are also looking for the same thing as well.
Hey, listen, Mascara, or whatever you call yourself. This bike is all we've got. Don't you have any bigger fish you could go after? Why pick on us?
Why? Because business hasn't been so good lately.
However, their leader, who has a ridiculously giant bow in her hair, decides to go out on the attack. However, Bad Pundit decides to counterattack Big Bow and her band of fat lackeys. You know, is it me or does it find it ironic that the team is made up of entirely of fat chicks who wear the same revealing clothes that she does?
Kratz, it's the wind! The wind is the breath of heaven!
Cocoon!
The wind will help us!
Oh, hang on!
And in case you're wondering, yes, her skirt does go up and shows the crotch and whatnot. And I cannot show you because the underskirt of this is one of the things that I cannot put on the show. So, I'm going to be using my dog Angel's head to censor it.
Let your spirit flow on the breath of heaven.
They're then also tracked down by one of Tycoon's generals, who obviously has microcephaly, falls into them into the temple and is also demanding for the Crystal of the Wind.
Didn't steal the crystal, it kinda came on its own.
I am about to lose my temper! See, I just lost my temper!
Denali, everything all right?
I hope so.
They are also captured by the band of Sky Pirates and Big Bow, who tries to interrogate them on where she could find the Crystal of the Wind.
Well, I hate to skip the main course so soon, but I just have to see if you can maintain that attitude while undergoing the most horribly painful sort of torture known to man!
During this interrogation, the microcephaly general then starts to have a serious crush on her. But then later finds out that's inside Miss No Pants' body. What is the idea of the backwards talk again? You know what would make even more sense? If I did this!
Residual crystal activity detected. Target point Nazalia Islands, 35 degrees east, 1.1 gynodes.
Ha! Power of the editor, bitches!
Even if I wanted to, I don't know how to get it out of my body.
Oh, well, how unfortunate. I don't have much experience with major surgery, you see, so things could get rather messy.
I think Big Bo is kind of sick here. I mean, why would she think gruesome stuff like that? But it is here where they end up meeting with the spirits from the last game called Mead. Apparently, I did not play Final Fantasy V enough to actually know the importance of this character, but there's a quick information on how his backstory is now important to the plot. And for Bad Pundit and the Microcephaly General then decide to escape the island with Ms. No Pants along with Big Bo and her lackey. And it can all be summed up in 10 seconds.
My beautiful island, my dreams of glory, gone.
So then they fly themselves to Queen Tycoon's palace for a briefing on how to protect the Crystal of the Wind. And Lena about the Crystal of the Wind and how important it is. And we then get a backstory that Mead is already dead and also how he died and became a spirit.
It happened precisely 200 years ago. His life's work had been to solve the riddle of the crystals and their mysterious powers.
No, Shido, you will not take your wisdom with you. I will not let it just turn to dust in the ground.
No, leave Grandfather be!
You I don't need.
He helped the great and mighty warrior Bat defeat Exodes and save the crystals.
Exodes? Bats? It's Bart and X-Death. You know, X-Death was that tree in armor that Bart's actually killed when it transformed into a giant monster like this, you know? And it's even shown so in the fighting game spin-off.
You'll never defeat me, playing around like this.
This is the first time.
But then when they make it to the shrine, or so it seems, Miss No Pants then summons a naked Chocobo to take a shortcut into the main halls. And the next part, I swear, and if you haven't seen the absolute bizarre worst this thing has to offer, you haven't wait till you see this.
I have an idea. Try standing in the center of the circle.
What's that?
What the?
Okay, so as she, the light then shoots down from the clouds and then shines out her ass. I'm not kidding! Why do they think this was a good idea? Now you really wish you should have worn some pants, Missy. So as you'll later find out, she's actually, Miss No Pants is actually a descendant of the protagonist of Final Fantasy V, which, makes her special in some way by somehow allowing her to summon a light beam that allows to shine out her ass. I can already throw out jokes about this. And the butt rays, I can't believe I said this, somehow shines on the piece of rock, causing a statue to rise with an open doorway leading to the guardian deity of the royal family, which happens to be Yoda's retarded cousin, the almighty dragon. I mean, look at this thing. It looks like Jockin after he fell into a toxic radioactive waste dump.
I'll roast you and skewer you little...
Stop it now!
And you know what's really crazy is that Jockin can actually transform into this powerful dragon that can fly through space and somehow is able to breathe. And even tug at the airships into outer space despite the fact that they're not equipped to deal with the vacuum and no air. And the crew, the Sky Pirate crew and Big Bo are even shocked to see that the Earth is a sphere.
Hey, I wonder where we live.
We live right down there.
You mean down there on the bottom?
Don't be an idiot. We must live on the top because if we lived on the bottom, we would have fallen off by now, wouldn't we?
The world, she's around.
However, they land on the moon to come face to face with the antagonist that we've been always wondering what the hell, who he was. That, you know, that guy talking backwards? Well, apparently it's this guy named, Deathvigus, like, something I can't pronounce.
The process is complete. Destiny Sword of Oblivion is born.
Then, long story short, they beat him and, back on planet R, and Mead, finally vanishes and finally goes to the afterlife. And then Miss No Pants and her grandfather back on the river again. Right back from the beginning.
Huh? It's Tubby!
A pirate's life for me! Take care now!
And this is Final Fantasy Legend of the Crystals, one of the poster childs of bad anime based on video games. And that led Square to only go into original stories with the Final Fantasy name slapped right on it. Movie. And this is a really badly done original story called The Spirits Within. A CG movie so bad that it even forced the movie division, Square Pictures, to shut down. Stay tuned till next time. This is Moyonama, signing off.